Most people lose their power long before they lose the argument. They lose at the moment they react emotionally. The moment anger controls their words. The moment frustration controls their decisions. The moment another person's behavior controls their state of mind. This audiobook is about taking that power back. Because the strongest person in any room is not the loudest. The strongest person is the one who remains in control when everyone else loses control. If you can master your emotions, you can master your decisions. If you can master your decisions, you can master your life. Today, you will learn how to stop reacting and start responding, and gain a psychological advantage that most people never develop. You think your emotions are yours. You're wrong. Right now, somebody out there knows exactly what to say to make you angry. They know exactly which button to push to make you defensive. They know precisely how to phrase a comment to send you spiraling into anxiety, jealousy, or rage. And here's the part that should terrify you. They're using that knowledge every day against you. Most people walk through life believing emotions are something that happened to them. Like weather. Like bad luck. He made me angry. She hurt my feelings. They ruined my day. As if you're a passive passenger in your own mind, getting tossed around by everyone else's behavior. That's the lie, and it's costing you everything. Here's the truth. Your emotional responses are predictable. They're patterns, and patterns can be triggered on command by people who've figured out the formula. Your coworker who makes that one comment right before a meeting, knowing it'll throw you off your game. The ex who texts you at 11 p.m., knowing it'll keep you up wondering. The troll online who says something designed to make you type a furious reply. If they can control your emotions, they can control your actions. Say that again in your head. If they can control your emotions, they can control your actions. Think about workplace conflicts. A manipulative coworker undermines you in a meeting. You feel humiliated. You feel rage. So you snap back, publicly, emotionally, unprofessionally. Now you're the one who lost control. You're the one HR talks to. You're the one who looks unstable. They didn't have to do anything else. They pulled one string, and you did the rest of the work for them. Think about social media. Someone posts something inflammatory, knowing it'll get a reaction. You comment. You argue. You spend 45 minutes of your one and only life debating a stranger who was never trying to be right. They were trying to get you engaged. And it worked. Your emotion became their entertainment. Your emotion became their engagement metric. Your emotion became a tool, and you handed it to them for free. Think about toxic relationships. The push and pull. The silent treatment followed by sudden affection. The criticism followed by charm. That's not chaos. That's a system. A system built to keep you emotionally reactive, because a reactive person is an easy person. Easy to predict. Easy to manage. Easy to control. Now, I need you to hear this part clearly, because people get it wrong constantly. Emotional control does not mean suppression. It does not mean becoming a robot. It does not mean pretending you don't feel things. Suppression is just a delayed explosion. Suppression is a bomb with a longer fuse. What I'm talking about is different. It's strategic. It's self-governance. It means you still feel the emotion, fully, honestly, but you decide what happens next. You decide the response. Not your nervous system. Not your ego. You. Reaction is weakness. Response is power. Reaction is automatic. Reaction is what the manipulator is counting on. Reaction is the angry email sent at midnight, the comment you can't take back, the decision made in 5 seconds that cost you 5 years. Response is different. Response is chosen. Response is calculated. Response says, I see what you're doing. I feel what you wanted me to feel. And I'm choosing what happens next. That's the key. You have a choice. Every single time. You have a choice in how long you sit in that anger. You have a choice in whether you reply now or in an hour. You have a choice in whether you give this person the show they're hoping for, or whether you walk away and let them perform to an empty room. You don't need their permission to feel calm. You don't need their permission to disengage. You don't need their permission to protect your own mind. Here's your assignment, starting today. The next time someone says or does something that triggers that hot, immediate, gut punch feeling, stop. Don't suppress it. Don't deny it. Just notice it. Say to yourself, this is a trigger. Someone or something just pulled a string. And then ask yourself one question. What does this person gain if I react right now? That question alone will change your life. Because 9 times out of 10, the answer is They gain everything, and you gain nothing. It's not about being emotionless. It's about being undeniable. It's not about never feeling pain. It's about never performing it for an audience that's only there to watch you fall apart. You are not your reactions. You are the one who chooses them. Master that, and you take away the one thing every manipulator, every troll, every toxic person depends on: your predictability. Now that you understand how your emotions can be hijacked, it's time to learn how to stop paying for it. Chapter 2. Pause before you pay the price that you said. Chapter 2. Every reaction has a price tag. You just can't see it in the moment. That's the problem. In the moment, reacting feels free. It feels good. It feels like relief. You send the text. You fire off the email. You walk into your boss's office and quit on the spot. And for about 30 seconds, it feels incredible. Then the bill arrives. Let's talk about that bill. Because most people never connect the dots between the 5-second reaction and the 5-year consequence. They treat their reactions like they're isolated events. They're not. Every reaction is a transaction. And you are always paying for it. In money, in relationships, in opportunities, in reputation, in peace of mind. Think about the angry message. Someone says something that cuts deep. Your hands move before your brain catches up. You type something sharp, something true in the moment, but devastating in hindsight, and you hit send. 30 seconds of release. And now? Now that message exists forever. Now that relationship has a scar that never fully heals. Now that person has a screenshot. You paid for 30 seconds of satisfaction with a friendship, a marriage, a business relationship, sometimes all three. Think about the impulsive resignation. Someone humiliates you at work. The injustice burns. You march into your boss's office and you quit, right there, in the heat of it. It feels powerful. It feels like you're finally standing up for yourself. But 2 weeks later, you're unemployed, the bills are due, and the person who humiliated you, they're still there, still employed, still doing exactly what they were doing. Except now they're doing it to someone else, and you're at home wondering how you're going to make rent. Think about emotional spending. You had a brutal day. You feel disrespected, unseen, exhausted. So you buy something. New shoes. A new gadget. A trip you can't afford. For an hour, you feel like you're back in control, like you're treating yourself, like you deserve it. But the feeling fades, and the credit card statement doesn't. Every single one of these situations has the same root cause. Zero space between the trigger and the action. The pause is where power lives. Say that with me. The pause is where power lives. Not the explosion. Not the witty comeback. Not the dramatic exit. The pause. The moment where you feel the heat rising and you do nothing. Not yet. Here's what most people don't understand. The emotion itself is not the problem. The emotion is data. It's information. It's telling you something matters to you. That's valuable. What's not valuable, what's actively destructive, is converting that emotion into action within the same 60 seconds it arrived. You have a choice. You always have a choice. The choice is not feel it or don't feel it. The choice is act on it now or act on it later, when I can think clearly. That's the key. The pause doesn't eliminate your power. It protects it. It gives the smartest, most strategic part of your brain, the part that thinks about consequences, about tomorrow, about next year, a chance to catch up to the part that's screaming, do something now. Let me give you a real-world tool. It's simple. It's not flashy, but it works. 24 hours. That's it. The next time you feel that surge, that need to respond right now, to send that message, to make that decision, give it 24 hours. Write the message if you need to. Get it out of your system. Then don't send it. Sleep on it. Come back to it tomorrow. I promise you, 9 times out of 10, tomorrow you will look at today's used draft and think, thank God I didn't send that. The same goes for big decisions. Job offers, breakups, major purchases, confrontations. If it's truly the right decision, it will still be the right decision in 24 hours. If it's an emotional impulse dressed up as a decision, it will fall apart the moment you give it room to breathe. Here's what you need to stop doing. Starting today, stop treating speed as strength. Stop believing that reacting fast means you're powerful, decisive, in control. That's backwards. Fast reactions are usually fear, ego, or pain wearing a costume. Real strength is slow. Real strength can wait. Real strength says, I don't need to win this second. I need to win this year. You don't need their permission to take your time. Nobody, Not your boss, not your ex, not the troll online, gets to set the timer on your decisions. They want you to react instantly because instant reactions are their reactions, shaped by their provocation. The pause takes the timer out of their hands and puts it back in yours. It's not about suppressing the urge. It's about outlasting it. Urges fade. Consequences don't. You've learned to delay the reaction. Now let's talk about something even more important. Who gets to live in your head at all? Chapter 3. Stop giving people access to your mind that you said. Chapter 3 right now, somewhere in your head, there's a person who doesn't deserve to be there. Maybe it's a coworker who said something dismissive 3 days ago. Maybe it's a stranger online who left a nasty comment. Maybe it's an ex, a critic, a relative, someone who, for whatever reason, has set up permanent residence in your thoughts. They're not paying rent. They're not contributing anything. And yet there they are, taking up space, taking up energy, taking up time you will never get back. Here's the question you need to start asking. Who gave them the key? Because nobody breaks into your mind. Nobody forces their way in. You hand over the key. Every single time. And most people do it without even realizing it. Let's get something straight. An insult, on its own, has zero power. Zero. It's just sound waves, or pixels on a screen, or ink on a page. That's it. An insult only becomes painful the moment you pick it up, turn it over in your hands, and decide it's true. The other person threw it. You caught it. You held on to it. You gave it weight. Think of your mind like a fortress. A real fortress, stone walls, a moat, guarded gates. Now imagine the gatekeeper just lets everyone in. Random strangers walk straight through. Critics set up camp in the courtyard. People who've never even met you wander the halls, rearranging the furniture, leaving their mess everywhere. That's insane, right? You'd fire that gatekeeper immediately. But that's exactly what's happening in your head, every single day, every time you let a stranger's opinion ruin your afternoon. Not everyone deserves a reaction from you. Say it again. Not everyone deserves a reaction from you. Think about the comment section. Someone, a person with no name, no face, no stake in your life, types something cruel about you. And you feel it. It stings. And then what happens? You think about it for the rest of the day. You think about the perfect response. You think about why they said it. You're doing free labor, emotional labor, for someone who put in less effort than it takes to order a coffee. Think about the critic at work. The one who finds something wrong with everything you do. Every project, every idea, every presentation, they've got a complaint. And you've started shaping your work around avoiding their criticism instead of doing your best work. You've handed them the keys to your creativity. They're now living in your head during every single project, whether they're in the room or not. Think about the toxic family member, the one who knows exactly what to say at every holiday dinner. You spend weeks, dreading that conversation, replaying old arguments, preparing comebacks for things they haven't even said yet. That person isn't just occupying one dinner. They're occupying your entire month, in your head, rent-free. Here's what you need to understand. Emotional resilience isn't about having thicker skin so insults don't hurt as much. It's about being more selective about who gets close enough to land a hit at all. You have a choice. You get to choose who has access. You get to choose whose words matter and whose words are just noise. Not everyone who speaks to you has earned the right to affect you. Respect is earned. Influence is earned. Access to your inner world, your peace, your mood, your self-image, that has to be earned too. And most people who try to claim it haven't earned a thing. So here's what you need to start doing. When someone says something, a critic, a stranger, a difficult coworker, before you let it land, ask yourself 2 questions. First, does this person know me? Second, does this person want good things for me? If the answer to both is no, you don't owe them a reaction. You don't owe them an explanation. You don't owe them space in your head. Let it pass through. Don't catch it. Don't carry it. And here's what you need to stop doing. Stop treating every opinion as information. Most opinions, especially the loud, cruel, unsolicited ones, aren't information. They're projection. They're someone else's bad day, bad mood, or bad character, aimed at you because you happen to be there. You don't need their permission to ignore them. You don't need their approval to feel good about yourself. You don't need to win them over, change their mind, or prove them wrong. You need to close the gate. This isn't about becoming cold or distant from people who matter. It's the opposite. When you stop wasting your emotional energy on people who don't deserve it, You have more of that energy for the people who do, the ones who love you, the ones who are building something with you, the ones whose opinions actually carry weight. Guard the gate. Not everyone gets in, and the ones who don't, they don't get to live in your head rent-free anymore. You've learned to control who gets access to your mind. Now let's talk about something just as dangerous, the battles you don't actually need to fight. Chapter 4. Detach from the need to win every battle. You can be right and still lose everything. Let that sink in, because most people don't believe it. Most people think being right is the goal. They think if they can just prove it, prove they're correct, prove the other person is wrong, prove their point beyond all doubt, then they've won. They've succeeded. They've come out on top. But here's the truth nobody tells you. Most of the battles you're fighting right now don't need to be fought at all. And the ones that feel the most urgent, the ones that make your blood pressure spike, the ones where you absolutely cannot let it go, those are usually the least important ones of all. Why? Because most conflicts aren't actually about the issue on the table. They're about ego. They're about being seen, being validated, being declared the winner in front of an audience, even an audience of one. Think about family disputes. How many holiday dinners have been ruined over something that, on paper, doesn't matter at all? An old story told slightly wrong. A political opinion nobody asked for. A comment about how someone's raising their kids. None of these things change anyone's life. But the argument happens anyway, because somewhere underneath it, someone needs to be right, and someone refuses to let them be. Think about online debates. You're scrolling, you see a comment, and it's wrong. Factually, obviously wrong. And something inside you says, I have to fix this. So you type a response. They reply. You respond again. 2 hours later, you're 40 comments deep into an argument with someone you'll never meet, about a topic that will not change either of your lives by tomorrow morning. And neither of you has moved an inch. Think about workplace politics. Someone takes credit for your idea in a meeting. Someone undermines your proposal. Someone makes a snide comment in front of your boss. Every cell in your body wants to correct the record, right then, right there, to make sure everyone in that room knows the truth. And sometimes, that's worth doing. But often, the loudest reaction in the moment costs you more long-term credibility than the original slight ever did. Here's what you need to understand. The need to be right is not strength. It's instability. It means your sense of self depends on external validation, on someone else admitting you were correct. And when your peace depends on someone else's admission, you've handed them the controls. It's not about being right. It's about being effective. Say that again. It's not about being right. It's about being effective. Win the war, not the argument. This is the core shift you need to make. An argument is a single moment. The war is your life, your career, your relationships, your reputation, your long-term goals. And here's the brutal truth. You can win almost every argument and still lose the war. You can be the smartest person in every room, technically correct in every dispute, and still end up isolated, exhausted, and resented, because nobody wants to be around someone who has to win every single time. So what does this actually look like in practice? Here's your assignment. Before you engage in any conflict, big or small, ask yourself one question. If I win this, what do I actually gain? Not what do you feel, what do you gain? Will winning this argument get you a promotion? Will it save your marriage? Will it change anyone's mind? Or will it just make them dig in harder and resent you more? If the honest answer is nothing, except the feeling of being right, let it go. Not because you're weak, not because you're avoiding conflict, but because you've calculated the cost, and the cost isn't worth it. You have a choice. You can choose which hills are worth dying on. And here's the secret. The fewer hills you choose, the more powerful you become on the ones that actually matter. When you're not constantly fighting over everything, people notice when you finally do push back. It carries weight. It means something. Here's what you need to stop doing. Stop confusing silence with surrender. Walking away from an argument isn't losing. Letting someone have the last word isn't losing. Not correcting every wrong opinion you encounter isn't losing. You can disagree completely, internally, and say nothing, and still walk away with all your power intact. And here's what you need to start doing instead. Start asking, before every conflict, is this about the issue, or is this about my ego? Because if it's about your ego, there's no version of winning that will actually satisfy you. The need will just show up again tomorrow, in a different argument, with a different person. You don't need their permission to walk away. You don't need their agreement to feel secure in what you know. Your truth doesn't become less true just because you didn't argue for it out loud. Detach from the scoreboard. Stop counting wins and losses in conversations that don't matter. Save your energy, your real energy, for the war. The war is your life. Make sure you're winning that. You've learned to let go of battles that don't matter. But there's one more thing fueling all of this. The stories you tell yourself before anything has even happened. Chapter 5. Control the story inside your head. Here's something that's going to be uncomfortable to hear. Most of your suffering isn't caused by what happened. It's caused by the story you told yourself about what happened. Read that again, because this might be the single most important idea in this entire book. We've talked about emotional triggers, about pausing before you react, about not giving people access to your mind, about letting go of battles that don't matter. But underneath all of that, underneath every emotional spiral you've ever had, is a story, a narrative, a meaning you attach to an event that, on its own, was completely neutral. Facts first, stories second. Say that with me. Facts first, stories second. Here's what I mean. A fact is something that can be observed, recorded, proven. She didn't text back for 6 hours. That's a fact. Neutral. No emotion attached. Now here comes the story. She's ignoring me. She's mad at me. She's losing interest. I must have done something wrong. None of that is a fact. All of it is a story. And yet, by the time you finish thinking it, your body has reacted as if it's already true. Your stomach is tight. Your mood has dropped. You're rehearsing arguments for a fight that hasn't happened, based on a crime that was never committed. This is the trap. Your brain doesn't like uncertainty. It despises it. So the moment something ambiguous happens, a delayed response, a flat tone, an unanswered question, your brain rushes to fill in the blank. And it almost never fills it in with something neutral or positive. It fills it in with the worst-case version. Because somewhere, deep in your wiring, your brain thinks the worst-case story is protecting you. If I assume the worst now, I won't be blindsided later. But here's the cost. You suffer twice. Once from the imagined version, and again, sometimes, from the real thing, if it even happens at all. Most of the time, it doesn't. Most of the time, the 6-hour delay was because she was in a meeting, or her phone died, or she was dealing with something completely unrelated to you. But you've already spent the afternoon angry, hurt, anxious, over nothing. Over a story. Let's look at real examples. Someone doesn't say good morning to you at work. The story, they're upset with me. I must have done something. The fact, they were rushing to a meeting and didn't notice you. You spend the whole day being cold toward them, based on a story, and now you've created an actual problem out of a story about a problem that never existed. A friend cancels plans last minute. The story, they don't value our friendship. They're choosing other people over me. This is a pattern. The fact, they canceled. That's it. That's all you know. Everything else, the meaning, the pattern, the judgment about what it says about the friendship, that's a story you wrote, directed, and starred in, all by yourself. A boss gives short, clipped feedback in an email. The story, they think my work is bad. They're disappointed in me. My job might be at risk. The fact, the email was short. People write short emails when they're busy, when they're tired, when they're juggling 15 things. Most of the time, it has nothing to do with you at all. Here's the pattern in every one of these examples. The fact is small, neutral, and survivable. The story is huge, personal, and devastating. And it's always the story, never the fact, that ruins your day, damages your relationships, and fuels unnecessary conflict. So what do you actually do about this? You have a choice. Every time you feel that wave of hurt, anger, or anxiety rising over something someone did or didn't do, stop and separate the two columns. On one side, write down, literally, if you have to, only the facts. Just what happened. No interpretation, no meaning, just the bare event. On the other side, write down the story you've attached to it, the meaning, the judgment, the prediction about what it says about you, or them, or the relationship. Then ask yourself, what evidence do I actually have for the story? Real evidence, not feelings, not past experiences with other people, not assumptions. Evidence. Most of the time, you'll find the story column is full and the evidence column is empty. That's the key. The moment you can see the gap between what happened and what you decided it meant, you take back control. The event no longer controls your emotions. Your interpretation does, and interpretations can be questioned, revised, and rewritten. Here's what you need to stop doing. Stop treating your first interpretation as the truth. Your first interpretation is just your brain's fastest guess, usually shaped by fear, insecurity, or past wounds that have nothing to do with the current situation. It's not evidence. It's a draft. And here's what you need to start doing. Before reacting to anything ambiguous, a message, a tone, a missed call, a comment, ask, what actually happened, separate from what I think it means? Then, if you genuinely need clarity, ask the person, directly, calmly, hey, is everything okay? Takes 30 seconds and replaces hours of imagined conflict with an actual answer. You don't need their permission to ask for clarity. And you don't need to invent a story to fill a silence that a simple question could resolve. Here's the thread that ties this entire book together. Your emotions can be triggered, but you choose whether to react. Every reaction has a cost, but you can pause before paying it. People can try to occupy your mind, but you decide who gets access. Conflicts can pull you in, but you choose which ones are worth fighting. And events can happen, but you, and only you, decide what story you tell about them. That's the through line. Every chapter has been pointing at the same truth. You have far more control than you've ever given yourself credit for. Not control over what happens to you, but control over what happens next. And what happens next is where your entire life actually takes place. You have a choice. You've always had a choice. Now go use it.